All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into the code that runs literally everything, open source software. It's the invisible engine behind your phone, the cloud, pretty much our entire digital lives. So we're going to break down how this thing that started as a hobby became the absolute bedrock of the global economy. Let's get into it. So I want to start with just one number, 87%. Just look at that for a second. What on earth could possibly be that dominant in the world of technology?
Yup, you guessed it. Nearly 9 out of every 10 components in the software that runs our world, it's all built on open source. It's not an exaggeration to say we are living in a world built on this stuff.
Okay, so that brings up a massive question, right? How did code that's, free, for anyone to see and use become this mission-critical foundation for everything? And maybe more importantly for anyone in business, what are the hidden rules you have to play by? That's exactly what we're going to figure out. To really get what's at stake here, you first have to appreciate the incredible scale of it all. This isn't some niche thing for developers anymore. No, this is a fundamental economic shift.
And if you hear open source and think no money, you got to think again. In 2024, the market just for open source services is going to hit over $30 billion. This is not a hobby. This is very, very serious business.
And that really is the heart of the change. For years, big companies saw open source as maybe the cheap option, maybe a little unreliable. But now they see it for what it truly is, mission-critical infrastructure. It's a strategic asset that actually drives innovation.
So, okay, you're a business, you're using this code. What do you actually need to know? Well, it all kicks off with the most important and honestly, the most misunderstood part of this whole thing, the license.
So how does this work legally? It's actually a lot simpler than it sounds. Just think of it like two different kinds of recipes. On one hand, you've got your permissive licenses. This is like finding a great recipe online. You can take it, tweak it, even use it in your restaurant's famous secret sauce, and all you have to do is just give a little credit to the original creator. Easy enough. But then there's copyleft. This is more like a secret family recipe. If you use it and you improve it, you are now required to share your new and improved recipe with the entire family under the exact same rules. And right there, that obligation to share, that's what they mean by viral. Because if you mix that copyleft code into your own secret sauce software, that license can literally infect your code, legally forcing you to make your own proprietary stuff open source too. And for a business, wow, that is a huge and often accidental problem. But believe me, the headaches don't stop with licenses. When you're using code that's been written by hundreds of different people from all over the planet, you're introducing a whole new universe of risks that any smart company has to get ahead of. So how in the world do you even know what's in your software? Well, you need an ingredients list. And in the tech world, we call that an SBOM, a software bill of materials. It's that simple. Without it, you are completely flying blind, with no idea what security holes or license problems are hiding deep inside your code. An SBOM is your #1 defense against a whole minefield of IP risks. I mean, think about it. Some code you pull in could accidentally violate a patent you've never even heard of. You might use a project's name or logo the wrong way and suddenly have a trademark problem. And with code from so many different people, figuring out who even owns the copyright can be a total mess. The point is, you just can't protect yourself from risks you can't even see. The smart companies, they don't guess. They have a system. They follow a very clear process. First, they create that inventory, the SBOM we just talked about. Once you know your ingredients, you scan them for known security problems. At the same time, you're evaluating all the licenses for those tricky copyleft issues. And only then, after all that, can you actually measure the danger and treat it just like any other business risk. So with all this complexity, how do the best companies actually turn these risks into a competitive advantage? Well, they don't just use open source, they master it. They have a playbook. And that playbook is how they build a winning strategy. The very first page in that playbook is all about understanding the real cost. It's so tempting to think open source means free, but that is a total myth. The license fee might be zero, sure,
but the total cost of ownership is very real. You're just shifting where you spend the money, away from licenses and towards things like implementation, support, and building up your own internal expertise. Look, successful adoption is not about just grabbing the shiniest new project you see online. It is a very deliberate four-step process. You start with strategic evaluation. You have to ask, does this actually help my business win? If the answer is yes, then you move to technology selection. That's where you check out the project's health and, of course, its license. Then comes careful integration planning to make sure it'll work with everything you've already got. Only after all that prep work do you finally get to implementation, starting small with a pilot and then scaling up.
And what happens when something breaks? It's not like there's one phone number to call for help. Instead, the Enterprise Playbook calls for creating a hybrid support model. Think of it like a layered safety net. Paid commercial support, that's just for the absolutely top-tier, mission-critical stuff. Most of the work gets done by building your own internal expert teams and knowing how to use all the free community help and documentation out there. It's just a smarter, more efficient way to keep the lights on.
Okay, so let's boil all this down. What are the key takeaways? Number 1, open source isn't just part of tech, it is the foundation. 2, you absolutely have to understand the licenses. It's non-negotiable. 3, managing open source is really just another form of risk management. And 4, the best companies aren't guessing. They have a strategic playbook for how they adopt and support this stuff.
And that all leads us to one final, really big thought. We've seen how this code, often built and maintained by volunteers, is now powering our entire global economy. It runs our most critical infrastructure, and that leaves us with a fundamental and maybe kind of unsettling question. As we lean on it more and more, who's actually responsible for keeping it all going? Who is on the hook for making sure it's safe and secure for our future? Thanks for watching The Explainer.